Welcome to the broadcast. Tonight, a discussion about a trade treaty. It is called the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, GATT for short. We'll talk with Sir James Goldsmith about this treaty and its implications for the world and implications for the United States. Joining us for a part of that and for a debate is Laura Tyson. She is chairman of President Clinton's Council of Economic Advisors working on economic policy in the White House. We begin with Sir James Goldsmith. He is known for many things: the money he has amassed, the companies he has owned, the battles he has fought, the women he has loved, and the issues he has taken. He has been controversial, but frequently he has been right. He's one of the people in 1987 who saw the stock market coming down, and he forecast the crash of '87 in October. He also saw the rise in oil prices with OPEC coming together. He now believes that GATT is wrong for the industrialized world and that it will unleash a series of problems that will be catastrophic for the world. It is all contained in a new book that he's written called The Trap, and I am very pleased to have Sir James Goldsmith join us for the beginning of this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you here. Why is GATT bad at a time that many people believe that NAFTA has proven, despite all the warnings, to be good for the United States and good for Mexico? All of the fears that Ross Perot and others forecast didn't happen. Now you come along and say that was very small. GATT is much larger. It will unleash an unemployment that will attack the economies around the world. What's the thesis that makes you believe that?
Well, of course, NAFTA and GATT have totally different sizes. NAFTA was a free trade area with Mexico and Canada, where it wasn't just economic. It was regional problems. You've got all sorts of neighborly problems that you have to solve between them, between the three nations. But it's nothing. It's like Portugal and Greece was for us in Europe. What we're talking about for GATT, we're talking about a free trade area with China, with India, with Vietnam, with Indonesia, with 4 billion people. You see, when GATT, this last round, but this is the 8th round of GATT, started 8 or 9 years ago, the negotiations, the Uruguay round. When it started, the world was a completely different place. Since then, you've had 4 billion people who before were set aside, if you like, held away from us by communism, by other ideologies, and they've all of a sudden joined the free market. Fine, that's fine. Secondly, those people have got massive unemployment. They have very fast-growing populations. They work for almost nothing compared to our populations. I mean, you can employ 47 people in Vietnam and the Philippines for 1 American.
But that's what they said about NAFTA, too.
Well, yes, but you're talking about 4 billion people. Right. You're not talking about 80 million people. And quite apart from that, the idea that you can judge the results of NAFTA so far, in my view, is a bit naive, because it's only been a few months. So let's wait in 5 years and see what's happening. But first, let's talk about GATT. 4 billion people. You can employ them. Mexico's expensive labor compared to the other places. Now, what are the other changes that have taken place since the Uruguay round started? Technology can be transferred anywhere in the world. Capital can be transferred instantaneously wherever the return is highest. So today, you are to take 2 companies, 2 corporations. They make the same product, to be sold in the same market, because the whole concept of global free trade is you can make a product anywhere and sell it anywhere. They have access to the same technology. They have access to the same capital. They only have one difference.
Cost of labor.
47 to 1. So they move. Now, what has been the result? We've got some results. Some results are in. It isn't hypothesis. You take France. In Europe, we had free trade started to emerge from 1973 onwards. That's when the Treaty of Rome was changed. During that 20-year period since then, the economy in France has grown by 80%. The number of unemployed has gone from 420,000 to 5.1 million. That's equivalent to 25 million in the States. Now, what is the good of having an economy that grows by 80% if your unemployment, the people excluded from active economic life, goes from 420,000 to 5.1 million? You take Britain, same story, by the way.
All right, let me make one other argument, though, that when you say these people in, for example, the People's Republic of China and India, 4 million people.
4 billion, yeah.
4 billion, I'm sorry. The argument is also made that they, all of a sudden, not only is there a question of the price of their labor, but it is a huge buying power that they have, that China, in the new millennium, will be the world's fastest growing economy.
That's great.
And it'll be a market.
That's wonderful.
And those people will be buying products.
That's wonderful.
From the industrialized
wonderful.
world.
And let's benefit from that. And we can work together. But how do you benefit from that without destroying ourselves? You go and you create a corporation in China. And you build a factory in China. And what do you want to sell? Mugs? Sell mugs in China. And you conquer part of the Chinese market by competing there fair and square in China. That's life. That's adding to the activity of China. You're a corporate citizen over there, you're working over there. But if you move a factory from the States and take that to China, not so as to conquer the Chinese market, but so as to re-import the goods into the States, so as to get cheap labor, what are you doing? What you are doing is you are saying to your employees here, you're too expensive, folks. You want money, you want protection, you want unions, you want holidays. Forget it. We can employ 47 people over there who want nothing. So don't confuse two issues. One is going out to participate in their growing economies by building there and conquering part of the market. The other is merely killing off employment in your own country, getting rid of your own labor force, transferring it over there and importing it back, purely so as to increase your profit margins. Now, the average company has about 25% of its costs in labor costs, including the social costs and welfare costs around it. 25%. When you move, you can say 25% of volume, that is. You all of a sudden can save over 20%. So your profits go leaping up, but you're totally destroying not only the number of people who've got jobs, but also their salaries. Now, you realize that salaries in the States, earnings, weekly earnings, hourly earnings, over the last 20 years have already dropped about 19% in real dollars. It's already been a massive decline. And that is why the so-called recovery, which is a recovery of economic indices, hasn't got the feel-good factor, because people's salaries have gone down. But they're going to go down much more. It's only a beginning. And the reason is very straightforward. When you manufacture something, anything, this table, you have a value added. The value added is when you take the raw materials and you manufacture a product. The value you add is known as value added. And that is shared between capital and labor. And the whole division, the sharing of that, has been the subject of massive debates for generations. How much should go to capital? How much should go to labor? You've had strikes, you've had lockouts, you've had political debates. All of a sudden, by creating a global marketplace for labor, but by creating circumstances where people are making the same product with the same technology and the same capital, and the only variant is cost of labor, you are shattering the way you share the value added. And that means that you are destroying the basis on which we've been able to create an equilibrium and have a stable society.
Okay, but let me just take this argument. This is the same thing we've heard about protectionism every time it comes up in the American Congress, is it not? Same arguments are made.
No.
Not?
No, absolutely not. I am entirely for free enterprise. I am for free markets. I believe that
I'm waiting for the but.
Oh, I'm giving you the but. I'm not for the destruction of one's society. Can you explain, what is the purpose of an economy in your view?
Well, I know this is a point that you feel very strongly about. It has many purposes, in fact, to play a role in a society in terms of creating jobs, in terms of playing a positive force, in terms of giving people an opportunity to serve, to take care of their family, giving people an opportunity to participate in their society.
In other words, the economy is there to serve the fundamental needs of society.
Yes.
Which are prosperity.
Yes.
Which are stability.
Yes.
And which are contentment.
Do you agree with that or not?
That is the basis. That's the basis of my thinking.
Right.
And what I'm saying at this stage is that if, purely for an economic doctrine, you have a situation whereby the economy grows, but you create poverty, unemployment, and you destabilize the society, you're in trouble. Look what's happened in the last 50 years. You see, people